let's jump right in. Welcome back to another explainer, Focused Learners. Today, we're tackling what feels like a massive, slow-moving earthquake in the tech world. The core dilemma? The tech industry is actively trading its future human talent for the immediate, shiny efficiency of artificial intelligence. It's a fascinating shift for sure, but the consequences of this trade-off, well, they could be absolutely disastrous if we don't start paying attention right now.
Okay, let's dive into this. To really grasp the sheer scale of this highly technical problem, we actually need to start with something incredibly simple. Just ask yourself, what happens when a farmer eats their seeds instead of planting them? I mean, sure, it makes for a quick, satisfying meal today, but next season, total starvation. It's just a basic rule of survival, right? You absolutely have to invest in tomorrow, even if you're a bit hungry today. And honestly, that is exactly where the tech industry is sitting right now. We are literally eating our seeds. The short-sightedness we're seeing across the software development world perfectly mirrors that starving farmer. The industry is aggressively optimizing for right now, completely ignoring the harvest of human talent they're going to desperately need to keep systems running in 5, maybe 10 years. We're seeing junior roles being actively cut and entry-level hiring just freezing up, all to prioritize immediate AI output. Think about the contrast here. Right now, companies are eagerly paying for AI subscriptions to make their senior developers faster and more efficient. And meanwhile, the traditional model, investing time, money, and patience into a junior developer's education, is simply being abandoned. It's infinitely more profitable, at least in the short term, to supercharge existing seniors with AI than to spend precious hours mentoring juniors. Because of that, potentially talented young developers simply aren't needed today. Now, you might be thinking this is just a theory or some doomsday prediction, but it's actually a spreading disease. It started in other programming areas, and it has actively reached ABAP, which, as you know, is the core programming language for SAP systems. And to put that into perspective, SAP systems are the backbone that runs giant global enterprises. We're talking global finance, massive supply chains, international logistics, the whole shebang. A massive industry cutoff of junior ABAP developers is already happening. We are witnessing the active abandonment of an entire generation of technical talent. So, what happens next? Well, because juniors are being ignored by human seniors who are just too busy moving fast, they're turning to a new kind of mentor, the NPC teacher. It's so much easier to ask a bot a quote-unquote stupid question than to ping a busy senior, right? But here's the catch. An AI acts like a non-player character, an NPC. It's a mentor that will always agree with you. And a mentor that never pushes back on your bad ideas, that is incredibly dangerous for beginners who are just trying to learn the ropes. Because these juniors don't yet know how to properly guide an AI model, we're ending up with a new level of bad code that humanity has literally never seen before. When a beginner blindly accepts generated code without knowing what a good, elegant solution actually looks like, the results are just catastrophic. AI can code incredibly well, but only when it's directed by someone who knows exactly what they want and can actively spot the flaws in its logic. To give you a sense of what this actually looks like in practice, we're seeing some absurdly over-engineered yet very real code out in the wild. Imagine AI generating multiple complex methods and an entire wrapper class, literally just to calculate 2 plus 2. No way, right? But this is peak over-engineering. It perfectly illustrates what happens when AI completely lacks the oversight of a human with an experienced bug hunter's eye. It takes years of real-world debugging to know when code is just doing way too much and needs to be simplified. And this brilliantly illustrates a really fundamental question. What happens if a guy who just got his driver's license yesterday tries to drive a Formula One car today? That scenario perfectly captures the extreme danger of handing highly advanced, hyper-fast tools to absolute beginners. You wouldn't let a teenager who just learned parallel parking loose on a professional racetrack in a multi-million-dollar machine, would you? The result is inevitable, unless you happen to be a young Max Verstappen. Let's be real here. True prodigies who can instinctively handle that massive level of power without any formal training are incredibly rare. For the other 99.9% of beginners put behind the wheel of a hyper-efficient AI race car, a spectacular crash is absolutely guaranteed. Think of these new AI tools as that high-speed car. They allow us to move really fast, which is fantastic. But if the operator or junior developer is immature and lacks deep foundational knowledge, the outcome is an inevitable crash. Speed is only valuable and, honestly, only safe if the operator is mature enough to actually handle the machinery.
Experienced developers use AI as a base to build upon, not as some unquestioned final result.
So, the crucial point is, how do we fix this? Well, it requires swallowing a rather bitter pill. We need strict, necessary rules for safely integrating juniors with AI. First, restrict their usage of large language models for coding. Instead, only allow them to use it as a search engine to grasp concepts. And most importantly, senior developers absolutely must step up. They need to thoroughly review the code that juniors make and actively build a trusting mentorship. You simply cannot skip the hard work of human teaching. There's no shortcut. We really have to remember a fundamental truth here. The future of the SAP industry, or really any tech sector right now, isn't an AI product. It's not some specific shiny new technology. The future belongs to today's trainees and juniors. They are the actual humans who will be forced to maintain, debug, and support tomorrow's software, even if that software is largely generated by machines. Let's look at how this chronological disaster builds over time if we don't change course. In the present, all our investments are going straight into the tech itself, completely bypassing the young specialists who will eventually have to drive it. Then, in the near future, as the current seniors retire and these unmentored juniors take over, we're going to see support tickets just sit unresolved for months. And long-term, production system downtimes will significantly increase, simply because nobody will actually know how the foundational code works. Which leads to an incredibly cynical but very real warning. With a trajectory like this, the future is bright and shiny as never before. You can almost hear the thick sarcasm there. If the current agenda doesn't change, it is crystal clear that we will simply not have enough decent technical experts to work with in the future. We're essentially building a massive digital house of cards. And that brings us to our final, critical question for this explainer. Who will fix your systems when the shiny AI breaks and all the human experts are gone? It's a highly provocative thought, isn't it? Look, AI is an incredible tool, no doubt about it, but it is not a replacement for human mentorship and deep foundational learning. We really need to rethink the true long-term cost of replacing education with automation, because if we keep eating our seeds today, there will be absolutely no harvest tomorrow. Thanks for joining me to unpack this, focused learners. Keep asking the tough questions, and I'll see you on the next one.